Hi everybody. This isn't weigh-in day yet, so this isn't a weigh-in update, but I just wanted to do a video on days 1, 2, and 3 post-op. I'm currently in day 4 post-op. Now that doesn't count surgery day. I'm just counting surgery day as surgery day, day 0. So I've made some notes and I've got some things to go over. I am feeling a little bit better. I'm going to go out on my first big adventure this afternoon. I've got a birthday party to go to, and I feel up to it. I've been out of the house several times, and I'll get to that in just a minute from my notes here. But anyway, I'm feeling pretty good and finally starting to be able to get more food and water in myself. But we'll just go over the first day post-op, which would be Thursday. My surgery was on last Wednesday, July the 15th. And day 1, I was nauseated, just as I was on surgery day, but even more. There was anything that I would smell would just make me feel like I was going to barf right there. That was anything from perfume to foods to people smells, not necessarily body odor, but my husband had been out mowing the grass and he came in and he sat down in a chair halfway across the room from me, and he didn't have horrible BO. It was, I could just smell him, and I could also smell like lawnmower smell. That was probably the worst. I told him he had to leave, and so he went upstairs and showered, and then the smell from soap, then, you know, just anything would make me just feel horrible. That day, I was not in a whole lot of pain, but I kept taking my Loratab on schedule because I didn't want to let any pain get out of control. But I could tell that I was having minimal pain compared to what I hear some people describe. It was never really a problem for me getting up, moving around. I was tender, but tender's about all I can really say. I never was in any pain like, oh, I can't do this. Just the nausea is what made me feel horrible. Didn't have any gas pains, haven't had any at all, or at least displaced gas pains in my shoulder, my back, or my chest, or anywhere like that. I do have gas rumblings in my stomach, and I think I'm still too swollen in there to know exactly where it's coming from or how it's happening, but it might either be if I get too full, or maybe it's that I feel the water, the liquid traveling down through the stomach, from the pouch into the stomach. I'm not sure, but I do have some pains in there. And what's interesting is that I can actually say that I'm learning about my band now. One thing I've learned is that it doesn't like my recliner. If I take a drink or a sip and I go sit down in the recliner, the position from being back like this, you would think that would relieve pressure, but it doesn't. It makes it 10 times worse, and then I just start feeling sick. So I've learned that if I stand up in the kitchen on the counter and I lean forward with my arms on the counter, it helps me have a productive burp and get rid of some of the air that's actually in my stomach. So just, I don't know if that happens to anybody else, but it sure doesn't like the recliner. And I always ate sitting in the recliner, and I don't think I'll ever be able to eat sitting in the recliner again, because when I'm tilted back even at just a short angle, I mean, I never ate laying back in the recliner, but you know, a rocking recliner sets you back like this sort of, and nothing's gonna go down, no way. Let's see, the hospital called to check on me the day after surgery. The dietitian called to check on me, and I told her how nauseated I was, and that I think a lot of my nausea, aside from smells, had to do with the no sugar diet. My body doesn't respond very well to a lot of the saccharin and artificial sweeteners, and I think that I was just sick from that. So I pretty much begged her, could I please have some grape juice, just regular old grape juice. I brought a bottle to show you, these little bitty bottles. And she said I could drink some if I watered it down half and half. I didn't water it down. I needed it straight. And I mean, it was a sip. It took me days 1, 2, and 3. Last night I finally finished off this little bottle. Now keep in mind I've been drinking water too, but it took me 3 days to sip down this much Welch's grape juice cocktail. Let's see. So anyway, the dietitian called. I also called my surgeon's office to report how nauseated I was, so they called me in some suppositories to help with the nausea, and that worked, except that on the liquid diet, I started having diarrhea, and so needless to say, suppositories wasn't a very wise choice shortly after I picked them up from the pharmacy. So I used those a couple times, and they did help, but once I started to get diarrhea, then the Phenergan wasn't doing any good in my body. I came home with TED hose on. You know what those are, those tight hose that help prevent blood clots. And I was only supposed to leave them on for 24 hours, at least 24 hours. And I wore those for about 2 days. I took them off when I showered and I put them back on. But I really wasn't moving around all that much. I walked around in the house for the first day or so. Pretty, about every 15 minutes I'd get up and I'd make a trip through the house. And then I'd need to sit back down. I also took a nap the afternoon of my first day. And I drove to my mom's and took a shower because we just have a bathtub here, and so I wanted to shower, so I went to my mom's and took a shower and drove back home. And that was okay, it wore me out, but I went to bed that first night, or actually the second night, first day post-op. I went to bed probably about 10 o'clock that night, and then I made a point to get up in 4 hours, and I walked around and I took a dose of pain medicine and went back to bed for 4 more hours, got up, walked around, and then I think that made it like, I don't know, 6 in the morning, something like that, 4, 5, 6 in the morning, and I slept till about 8, and then I got up and started my day. So then we're on Friday, which is post-op day 2. Still had horrible nausea. I decided to go ahead and take a bath at home. I didn't think my staples and sutures and stuff would get that wet, and they're also covered with a piece of plastic tape that I'm supposed to leave on until I see the surgeon, so that protects it to keep it dry. I drove a little bit more. I did nap in the afternoon. I drove out to the high school and I walked on a nice flat parking lot for about 10 minutes. Started cutting back on my pain meds. I tried a vanilla protein shake to start getting some protein. And I mixed it with water, and like I said in one of my first videos, I'm not a person that's ever going to be able to do a protein shake with water, so that about made me sick too. I went to bed at 10 o'clock, and I didn't sleep good that night. I wasn't tired, so I decided I was taking too much nap time. And also, on Friday evening, I discovered that my temperature was 99.3 at 5:30, which still, that's not a temperature, but it's higher than what it usually is. So I went ahead and took a dose of Loratab for pain, but the Loratab also has Tylenol in it. And by 6:30, I was back down to 97.8 or something like that. I freaked out a little bit, started doing some research to find out, temperature after lap band, and I know that your body's trying to heal, and so a temperature after any kind of surgery is not uncommon, and 99 is not even a temperature anyway, but I just wanted to keep an eye on it, make sure it wasn't going to go up. I don't have to call my doctor unless it gets to 101. Saturday, that was yesterday, I called the doc in the morning and reported that I was still nauseated, smells and everything. I just didn't think I was going to be able to kick it. So they called me in an oral prescription, and I took one of those, and that helped. I started sipping about 2 ounces of V8 juice. I really wasn't supposed to switch to full liquids until day 4, but on day 3, oops, I get that little hiccup. I felt like I needed to switch to something else, and I thought that would also help with my nausea.